the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Strong hour on tap. Basketball card coming up in 15 minutes. Mr. Las Vegas advisor Anthony Curtis in studio. Bottom of the hour here. We'll go over best bets at the Waste Management as our buddy Indy Jeff Sealey joins the program now on X at Cupmaker Jeff. And the Cupmaker podcast is out for this week. iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, all other podcast platforms as well. He's on the Progressive Guest Line. What's shaking, buddy?
How we doing, fellas? Excited for a big week this week. For full disclosure ahead of time, I probably have more parlay exposure to with the Chiefs winning than anybody you've met. So I'm pulling for the Chiefs this week in the Super Bowl. I'm tied into many golf parlays, many futures. I'm cheering for the Chiefs hard this week.
How did you land on KC?
Because as I was making these parlays throughout the course of the second half of the football season, or end of the football season, I thought they had the most likely path to home field. That proved to come to fruition. So I'm kind of pot committed on them at this point. So I've added a few more, kind of added a few Masters parlays with the Chiefs, a few Indiana Fever things when I saw some of the free agent signings they had. So all in on the Chiefs. It's going to be and a couple Waste Management things I've tied in with the Chiefs too. So it's going to be fun, and go Chiefs.
How much do you like this tournament this weekend? You've been there, right, before. Isn't it just like one of the best on tour the entire year?
Guys, there are not a lot of things that live up to the hype of. I've been to a national championship game for college football. I've been to the Final Four. I've been to a Kentucky Derby. I've been to a lot of things. Not many live up to the hype. This is one of the very few things to do. But again, you have to know exactly what you're getting into, right? If you know exactly what you're getting into and you know what to expect, it will not let you down. If you're expecting a circus, it won't let you down in that it's a lot of fun. It's unlike any PGA event you're going to attend, and sometimes it is over the top. Obviously, if they have big weather delays, that can cause some more inebriation. But when I went, it was a ton of fun. I would definitely go back. Although the tickets are if you're in a suite and you're doing it right, it's top notch. I can't recommend it enough.
I'll ask you this at the very top of the board: how you plan on attacking it? First off, Scotty Scheffler is at an unbettable number for me at this point. He usually is right now, but I mean, plus 275 is what we're looking at right now. I can't bet a guy at that number to win a tournament. Would you explore betting the market that is called, winner without Scotty Scheffler at all this week?
Yeah, I would for sure, but Mitch, I think the value in that price at Scotty is the elevation, the lift it gives to everybody else, right? Mm-hmm. So, as I talk about here, I think as I look at this, the first thing I looked at and I noticed was that I can get Hideki, who's a two-time winner here, who's played very, very well here, top 5 ties pay full at the same price I can Scotty to win. Like, that's a demonstrably better bet in my mind. I mean, Hideki's form is fantastic. He just won, two-time winner here. I mean, you can argue that he should be the second lowest odds on the board ahead of JT, given his current form and history here. And I can get that guy at the same price, top 5, as I can Scotty. I'm signing up for that all day long.
Okay, so it sounds to me like then you're going to attack it with Hideki. Are you going to ladder him, as we like to call it here, with the golf bets as well? Everything here, top 5, 10, 20 to win outright?
I'm going to play him probably just 5 and outright. I mean, I could play in top 10, but in top 20 maybe. But I have so many top 20 bets this week, guys, and it's because a lot of them I can get at 2-1 or better. I mean, there are a lot of really good players you can get 2-1 or better in top 20 this week, and some that I think you can get 4 or 5-1. I think that's really the way I'm attacking this is taking some of that Scotty lift that he's giving to the rest of the board and taking advantage of that. I'm not going crazy on it. I'm going to throw some, as you guys like to say, pizza money on some of these guys on the outrights. But the real bets are these top 20s at some elevated prices.
All right, let's start with some guys that you like then to win it outside of the top 20s. Is the lowest guy going to be Sam Burns at 25-1?
Yeah, guys. I mean, I do like Sam Burns a lot. And, in 2021, he gained 11 strokes putting in the event here. I mean, I can't recall the last time I saw someone gain 11 strokes putting in one tournament. His ball striking was terrible then, but we know he can putt here. His last 2 trips here, he's gained tee to green, an average of 8.1 strokes tee to green last 2 trips. We know now he's kind of improved at the course. We know he can putt here. That's a guy I am going to ladder, Mitch. I'm going to play him 20, 10, 5, and win. He's probably him and one other guy, probably my primary ladder bets this week. I like him a whole lot. And then there's a number of guys that, again, I think lifts, and we can just look across the board. Take a guy like Nick Taylor. Nick Taylor, it's hard to mention this tournament without Nick Taylor. Comes in with terrific form and is literally the definition of a course horse. He's 60-1. He won the Sony 3 weeks ago. He has a win and a runner-up in his last 2 trips here, and he's 60-1. Like, how much of that is a Scotty lift? A lot, obviously. I don't think there's much more you can say about it. He should be on your card in some form or fashion. Great top 10, top 20 bet. I mean, he's a terrific play. Another guy similar to that is Billy Horschel. You know, he now has top 10s in 4 of his last 9 events, including last week, and he's gained over 5 strokes putting in 4 of his last 5 trips here. So you got a guy who's in really good ball striking form, who can putt very well here. Again, I think another guy we're getting some lift from Scotty, 65-1, Billy Horschel. I love a top 10 bet on Billy Horschel there. So just 2 guys who would be probably in the 40s or so if it wasn't for Scotty, who are getting, 10 to 15 to 20 points of lift because he's in the field at such a low price.
Follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest, Jeff Sealey. He's on X at Cupmaker Jeff. He's on the Progressive Guest Line. We're going over some best bets this weekend on the PGA Tour at the Waste Management. A little bit, again, a guy who's going to be down the board a little bit here, but how are you attacking it with Andrew Novak this week?
Hey, guys, so since the start of the swing season in October, he's played 9 events, and he's finished inside the top 25 in 5 of those 9, including 3rd at the Farmers 2 weeks ago, 13th at Pebble. Really good form. Overall game is really solid. He's not going to blow you away with any one thing, but he's not going to kill you with any one thing. And his putter can run really hot. When he does, he's going to finish inside the top 20, and he can make a run of the leaderboard in a hurry. He's a guy you can find at plus 250, top 20. I think that's a really good play this week. A little sprinkle on the outrights, but I don't mind a top 10 and top 20 play on him. Again, I mentioned these guys at 2-1 or better. That's a really good example. And then another guy, guys, Daniel Berger. The Daniel Berger story is something else. Daniel Berger was part of the 2021 team that throttled the Euros at Whistling Straits. That wasn't that long ago. He was the number 12 ranked player in the world in that event. He's 110-1 right now. In late 2021, he suffered a back injury that he really started treating in the early part of 22, and he took him darn near 2 years to rehab this thing. He's been fighting his way all the way back since then, but make no mistake about it, Daniel Berger is absolutely a top 20 player on tour when he's at full strength. The swing season showed us what Berger can be. 7th to Sanderson Farms in October, 2nd at the 20th at the Worldwide Technology, and 2nd at the RSM. Just finished 21st at the MX a few weeks ago. We're getting plus 280 top 20 on Daniel Berger, who finished inside the top 11 4 times in his career at this event. 4 times he's finished top 11. We're getting him plus 280 top 20. What a great bet this week, and a super fun pizza money at 110-1.
I'm also seeing him at plus 130 right now to finish in the top 40. So one other guy here that, he's an absolute bomb this week. And you sent me this like over the weekend. You couldn't wait to talk about it. Jake Knapp. It's Jake Knapp week this week for you, Jeff?
It's nappy time.
Nappy time.
And I mean, look, I went. I think when I made my bet, I went a little bit overboard in the bet size that I made on him. But I think that because I want to hit a big score when he wins. I can't wait to have Nappy-palooza, maybe. But he's really easy to cheer for, and he's in good form now, guys. I mean, he's gained 3 strokes putting and 3 strokes approach. When he played here last year and came in 28th, he really struggled for a while, and we're starting to see some Jake Knapp come back to life. And I think, look, he's 200-1. But the smarter play, the far smarter play, is top 20. But you can find him 4-1 to finish top 20, plus 400 top 20. I think is a very, very interesting price on Jake Knapp. So, I mean, you're betting that Jake Knapp finished top 20 and getting a better price on Scotty Scheffler winning outright. It's pretty incredible. So there's a lot of opportunities, guys, in the top 20 range on guys better than 2-1. I think you can make a bunch of bets there and end up having a very profitable weekend, not having to bet Scotty. And thanks, Scotty, for the lift he's given everyone else.
All right, very nice. You can follow Jeff on X. He's at Cupmaker Jeff, and that's also the name of his podcast as well. Available now wherever you get your podcasts, and he was on the Progressive Guest Line. Good luck this week, and hope you have a very fruitful Super Bowl as well.
Thanks, fellas. Go Chiefs.
There you go.
All right. Wes Reynolds' article just dropped as well. So go up to vsin.com and check that out. He's got 7 or 8 picks and 1 tease. He agrees with Jeff Sherman. Tom Kim made his list to win it.
Okay.
So he took some shots too. So read that today, vsin.com.
Good. We went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago, traveled down there, did the shows for a full week. Never had a chance to go to the Waste Management. We flew back, I think, on Friday, so it was too difficult. Man. I feel like you just have to go there for that tournament. And that's it, right? The Super Bowl, along with it, was just too much to handle at the same exact time.
Yeah.
Hoops card coming up next. Some strong numbers for a few teams on a back-to-back tonight, such as 86% ATS.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Anthony Curtis, Mr. Las Vegas Advisor, coming up in 15 minutes. A lot to get into with him. Something that people hate is only getting worse in Las Vegas. And the World Championship of Blackjack coming to Circus Sports. How do you like that?
That's awesome.
Sounds pretty strong to me. It's a very busy basketball card that we have tonight. First of all, the Mavericks are playing the 76ers. They made a deal today. Caleb Martin went from Philly to Dallas in exchange for Quentin Grimes. And the Sixers are laying 4 in this game. Max Christie is available for Dallas. Anthony Davis is out. P.J. Washington is out. Mm-hmm. And Joel Embiid, at last check, was listed as questionable. Paul George is out. VSiN.com, Mackinnon has this under 8-1 the last 9 between these two teams.
Well, it was 1.5, so now I can't say go out there and lay the 4. Mm. But if you think maybe you get some promising news on Embiid, okay. The other thing is that could maybe put it off you was what happened the other night. Gave up 91 points in the first half, and the Cavs took them apart, no problem. So Sixers have been playing good ball lately, especially offensively. So I think more the play could be over 228 in this game, which has also moved.
Well, and by the way, as they're trying to piece this together, before they're going to be a full unit, maybe by the end of the week or next week, are they going to have a solution to stop Tyrese Maxey tonight? Guy's been on an absolute tear.
Yeah. That's a good angle, too, with the props, right? How about your big boy, Cavs and Celtics?
Oh, money on Boston.
Yeah, well, I tell you, I really love Detroit tomorrow if the Cavs win this game and they're impressive. They go to Detroit tomorrow. But got the Celtics the last time. They had that little funk. Well, they had the 3-game losing streak. They blew the game in Houston. Then they just, I don't know what happened. They just lost their minds defensively for about a week. Lost to Philly, and then lost to, I think it was Atlanta again. But at home, your marquee game, look at the total.
I was going to bring it up.
238.5. It's the number 1 offense against the number 3 offense. And this has all the makings here, too, of just a team that's in a bit of a funk defensively that can score at will. Obviously, number 1 in Boston, chuck and duck with all these threes.
Is 238.5 enough?
Boy, that's a big boy.
Here's maybe one angle to look at it, right? What if both teams come out blazing hot from 3? Maybe that's unsustainable for an entire game, and you bet like the second half under, or I'll flip it.
Yeah.
If they come out and the threes are just not going down in the first half, and suddenly that can absolutely change.
Yeah.
And maybe look at really picking up some steam in the second half. But 238, this game can easily be 128 to 120.
Yeah.
No problem. What do you think? We had a guest on last hour, Tom Byrne, not completely sold on Cleveland.
Yeah, I'm so surprised by that. Yeah, I am. Their offense is great. Now, the comments that Allen made 2 years ago about the lights were too bright, but it's a game changer with Atkinson. And I think it's going to be a great Eastern Conference playoffs. But I think this team's the real deal, and you see their record, what they've done, 40-9. I like them tonight. And I think they'll lose tomorrow.
For what it's worth, the Cavaliers are 10-3-1 ATS against Boston since 2022. They've done really, really well against them. The Lakers are playing at the Clippers. Clip joint, laying 8.5, total around 221. They just played January 19th into a dome. That score was 116-102 Clippers. Norman Powell is not on the injury report for tonight.
Big.
LeBron James is probable. It's, again, the team total for the Lakers here is 106.5. And that has been a good play for most of the year. The opposing team total to go under against his Clippers playing in this dome and against a team that, for the most part, has had a really, really good defense. What do you think about 106.5? No opinion?
Yeah, no opinion because they've already been there. I'd feel much better if it was their first trip in. And maybe it's just we get carried away with the total because the Lakers are so bad defensively. Powell on a 28-11 run over the points prop. So he is now the favorite at DraftKings for most improved. He was 7-1 a couple weeks ago.
Oh.
This guy has been awesome. So I agree with the move here. It's been a bad matchup for the Lakers. But as far as the team total, that's one where they already made the trip in there. So I'm not going to do that.
Let me give you this. The Heat are playing at the Bulls tonight. All these guys that the Bulls got, they're not playing. Herter, Collins, Jones, they're not going to play tonight. They might actually try to flip a couple of those guys that they brought in. The Heat are 3.5. I know you said last week with the whole Butler mess, you want nothing to do with them. Man, aren't they? Who's playing for the Bulls?
Yeah.
You going to have enough guys?
Quick side note. What a horrible organization. What have they done? They had Caruso, DeRozan, and Levine, and they got like a couple picks for it. That's it?
Yep.
What they've done? They got their own pick back. All they did was trade to get their own pick back from Levine, which they would have got anyways because, it's just lunacy.
For sure.
What they're doing. But I think they've settled in now, and the Heat know, okay, good locker room now, and we know Jimmy's gone. So I think you get a good performance out of the Heat. I don't want any part of the Bulls.
All right. The Knicks are playing in Toronto against the Raptors. So the Knicks are, playing in that absolute war last night at home against Houston. They are late. This number's up to 6 now. I think Towns is going to play. Hart's going to play the way it looks. OG Anunoby is out again for this game. But all those guys played 37-plus minutes last night.
Yep.
It was, an awesome game against Houston. Barrett is out for Toronto. That's the biggest piece here that's holding me back a little bit. But the Knickerbockers on a back-to-back, 3-3 straight up, only 1-5 ATS. They're 5-1 over on a back-to-back. Raptors are playing good ball. That 6 looks sexy to me.
Yep, I'm sold. No doubt. And I'm sold on the Blazers. I'm going to keep riding this streak. And that's a G-Bank best bet. Brought to you by G-Bank, the official bank of VEASAN. Blazers have covered 9 in a row. And as I mentioned earlier, been a dog in 8 of them. In an 8-1 straight-up run. Take the points tonight with the Blazers at home against the Pacers, who screwed around and almost lost to the Jazz. That's a tough turnaround at Utah, at Portland. If you're serious about sports betting, need the G-Bank Visa Signature Card, most credit card, street sports books, and gaming transactions as cash advances. Even when you put your own money on the card, G-Bank treats gaming transactions as purchases, so you're typically saving up to 3 to 5% on cash advance fees right there. For a limited time, get a $250 bonus after you spend $1,000 in the first 90 days. Apply now, VEASAN.com/GBank, VEASAN.com/GBank, subject to credit approval.
Okay, so a little bit more on this game here. Back-to-back for both teams.
Yep.
A lot of back-to-backs tonight.
And overtime, but
yep.
I got to trust the Blazers in their streak they're on. They're being mispriced.
Indy 2-4 straight up on a back-to-back and 2-4 ATS back-to-back on the year. The Blazers 6-1-1 ATS on a back-to-back so far this year.
Yeah.
So there's also this again from Steve and AJ Makinen at VEASAN.com. Home teams playing a 4th straight game at home, obviously, are 36-20 straight up, 37-18-1 ATS. That is 67% hosting teams playing in a back-to-back game over the last 2 seasons, and the back-to-back has to be road games in a row for like Indy on the road last night to Utah, like you said, and now tonight. There's more to it here when you break it down even a little bit more. Teams playing a third straight home game. 78 and 40 straight up, 69, 44 and 5 ATS. That's 61% against teams playing away and away back-to-back over the last 2 seasons. So those angles, those system plays that Makinen points out, both really, really good towards Portland in this game. The total is 12 and 3 last 15 between Indy and Portland as well. And another system here, Rockets playing at the Nets. A lot of points here, man. And the Rockets have been through the gauntlet and playing third game in 4 nights. They just lost to the Nets. Now they're laying 9.5 here. Houston's 4 and 5 straight up on a back-to-back this year. But they are also 36 and 16 over the total when playing on the road, third game in 4 days. And that total tonight is at around 211 against the Nets. Zach Cohen has a great breakdown on a player prop, and I urge you to go and read it at vsin.com. It was definitely worth a play for me earlier today.
All right, excellent. Fun card and a great doubleheader. And I'm interested to see what the guys think of the big trades, too, their take. And we'll get a little bit later on, too, about an interesting press conference today when they introduced Luka, about what Pelinka had to say, and Luka as well. Kleba could be done for the year.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to miss at least 8 more weeks, they said.
Maybe Luka's 5-on-5 now. Could play Saturday. Also, I found this interesting. His strength coach from Slovenia, who the Mavs let go, was right behind him entering the building today. That is big. Sure, whatever you need. Come on. I mean, you're 25. We're going to hopefully you retire a Laker. So let's do this and rock and roll. But they got to need it. They need rim protection.
I know.
Thursday could be crazy.
Is it part of like the NBA bylaws that the Lakers have to have like the next superstar in waiting?
The list is astonishing.
It never fails.
Oh, back. All these guys fall in their lap.
I'm blown away by it.
Well, I was blown away with the LeBron thing. I'm going to retire a Laker and finish my career there after I won it, going back to Cleveland.
But it never fails.
Yeah.
There's always somebody next in line.
Kobe was right. You always get somebody.
They only had a couple of years that were down around the end of Kobe's career.
It was bad there for a little bit, right?
That was pretty much it.
Yeah, they couldn't get a meeting with Durant and Aldrich, and that. Other than that, it's been incredible.
Yep. Up next, Mr. Las Vegas advisor himself, Anthony Curtis, going to join us in studio. A national sportsbook is offering a bet tracking system. He says, a little surprised by this. That's next here on VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
I love our next guest. He's been coming on the show since we were at the South Point many, many years ago here on VSiN. His name is Anthony Curtis. I like to refer to him as Mr. Las Vegas Advisor. He's been doing this and dancing around town here in Las Vegas for several years. Man about town. Good to see you again today. How are you?
I'm good. I mean, how many Mr. Las Vegases are there? I don't want to claim that. There's too many.
Well, but you're the only Mr. Las Vegas Advisor, though.
Okay, that's better.
That is better, right?
And that's way better.
How long have you been doing this, by the way?
40-some years.
40-some years.
Yeah, I started as soon as I turned 20. You know, I started publishing information about Vegas because I just figured shelf life for gambling was going to be X amount of time. So I started making a way. My dad asked me that when I dropped out of college. My dad was a college professor. He goes, "What are you going to do? To go gamble in Vegas?" I go, "Yeah." I can do it. But I said, I can do other things too. And I said, like, publish. And he was like, "Oh, yeah, that's a good idea." You know? So just from the time I was a kid, I was like, "Yeah, I'll publish at some point." My dad's like, "Go ahead, drop out." He goes, "I trust you. Go ahead."
Did he really?
Yeah.
You're kidding.
And I was at Duke, and I had transferred to UCLA, and he was teaching at Fresno State at the time. And he said, I think you'll go back and get your degree. But he goes, "I trust you. Go ahead." I never went back. Never got a degree.
Wow, it's great parenting.
Wow. What did he think when you had to tell him, "I'm so good at blackjack, I'm not allowed to play"?
My dad always had this ridiculous trust in me. And I mean, he used to tell me when I was coming up as an athlete in school and I wasn't doing anything at all, he used to tell me, "You're better than all these guys." He was kind of right when it all ended up, when it all I had a really great athletic career, and my dad just somehow either he saw something or he was just so optimistic about his son, both of us, me and my brother.
Very cool. Did you ever take him to a casino and play blackjack in front of him?
He didn't get it, and he didn't care. And he was like, that's fine. He goes, I just like to watch what you're doing a little bit. But he had his own thing. He had his, he was developed tests and training programs for kids with problems with learning disorders, hearing disorders. And he made his own way, and he was just proud of his boys. It was cool.
Okay, so you sent over some notes for today's program that you wanted to talk about. This is new to me because we don't have FanDuel here in Nevada, but they are offering a bet tracking system, and you said that it's interesting that they would offer that. Explain why.
Yeah, it's kind of non-intuitive. You wouldn't expect it because when you're tracking bets, they call it My Spend. That's the name of it. It's called My Spend. And what it does is it allows you to input your bets as you do it and track your results. And you wouldn't expect that a FanDuel or a casino of any type or a sportsbook would want to do that because 99.3% or more, are going to lose over time. And you're going to see this in your results. But they're doing it as their nod to the smart gambling type
responsible
thing.
Gambling,
yeah. And what's so great about this for the customer is that we actually thought about building programs like that and selling them, through our publishing company. And we didn't get to it because we thought people really won't probably want to buy it, but they're going to get it for free through FanDuel. So they can track. I always tell everybody, you want to start gambling, whether it's recreationally or professionally or avocationally or whatever you want to do, you need to have an idea of how much you're willing to pay for this hobby, meaning in your losses. And so you need to track. And if you are somebody who's really serious and you're going to make money, you need to have a way to make sure empirically that you are getting your EV, that it's working out. And this will tell you, you're looking at your sports bets and you go, wow, I'm ahead by $42 after 420 bets. Am I as good as I thought I was? I mean, at a certain point, it becomes statistically relevant. And I thought this was really something good that FanDuel had put out there.
Okay. So you mentioned how long you've been here. I think Mitch said it started 7-8 years ago. You can straighten me out on that, on what the timeline is. But you always say the number one complaint when people come to town is this, and now you're telling me it only gets worse. It's getting worse. What is that?
What, the resort fees?
Yeah.
Yeah, resort fees. That's the most hated.
How's it getting worse?
We did a study in Las Vegas Advisor, a survey. We called around 1 week after the new year, and 29 different casinos had raised their resort fees since the first of the year. 29. And before that, all of the MGM properties, so that's another 8 or 9, a week before the new year. And it used to be 1 year ago, the first casino went over the $50 mark for resort fees on the Strip. And I think it might have been Fontainebleau when they opened. And now it's the 50 and up is the norm on the Strip, more like 55, 56. And they just keep going up, up, up. Every year they raise resort fees, and they incrementally in small amounts raise parking fees as well.
Well, I think this probably goes into it, right? Like we're not hurting for tourists coming to town. I've stayed on the Strip twice in the last month. I got to tell you, both. All I heard was, Las Vegas, dead time around Christmas. Well, I stayed at Caesars on like the 22nd and the 23rd of December. Mm-hmm. And I asked the person at the registration desk, I'm like, is it always like this time of year? They said, absolutely. They said, it's a European Christmas here. And I'm guessing that more than 200 people were in line for their great buffet on Saturday night at 8:30, which blew me away. Yeah. And they said, if you think this is busy, you haven't seen anything. They said, wait till tomorrow. And tomorrow was a Sunday. I'm like, what? Yeah. What are you talking about?
That's a $90 buffet, the Bacchanal. That's a $90 buffet. And people they come to Vegas, they lose their minds. Now, here's something that's happening, though. The last 5 months in a row, the Strip has declined in win year over year. The last 5 months. And the state has gone kind of back and forth. And it's going to be a winning year this year, but not anywhere near what it's been in recent years. And if this trend continues, you're going to start to see what always happens. There's cause and reaction, and they'll start lowering room rates. They'll start doing better deals. They'll start marketing more to their list. And that's how they react. It's cause and effect, and it's always been the way of Vegas.
I think you've said this before on the program, and it's the question of the day. Las Vegas advisor, Anthony Curtis, our guest, LVA_tweet on X. Why don't the resort fees just be part of the room charge?
Two reasons, and two very good reasons. One is they want the base rate to look lower. So if they group them together, then obviously, let's say they put a base rate up there of $60, and everyone goes, "Wow, it's only $60 to stay at, the Rio," and then they go and $56 on top of that. So now all of a sudden you're at 116.
Yeah.
So they don't want to do that. The other reason, which is an even bigger reason, is that they got backed into a corner, painted into a corner with their work with the online travel agencies, OTAs they call them. And, places like Expedia and all those kinds of places, Travelocity, whatever. And they have to pay them a large percentage of people who book through them, but not the resort fee. The resort fees are their own separate. They don't have to split that revenue.
This is a question for both of you because Mitch was just there. Are you hearing and do you see still that on the Strip that they're short-staffed and it's hard and people complain to get a drink either at the bar or at the table?
I think not. I think not as much as it was. I mean, I think they're getting a little bit better. I mean, the things they gained to their bottom line during the pandemic, they're paying hell to give back. They don't want to give back any of it. And short staffing was a part of it. Short staffing was like, if we can get away with fewer, workers, that's what we're going to do. But it's not as bad as it was. Right after the pandemic, it was gross. I mean, it was gross. And you still run into it here and there. I don't know, Mitch, what's your...
No, I mean, and look, I went several different spots, went out to eat a couple different times at a couple of different bars, never had really an issue with the service overall. I thought it was really, really good. Yeah. Overall, based on what you're seeing over the last 5 months, and it might be a small win overall with gambling, but not that much compared to previous years. How much is, overall gambling like that, for a casino, right? How much is that to their bottom line compared to restaurants, shows, bars, the whole shebang?
Well, it used to be everything. I mean, back in the old days, it was everything. And if you're talking about downtown or places like that, it's, closer to 50-50. But on the Strip, it's like 35%. Gambling's like 35% now, I believe. And all their other revenues, non-gambling revenue is almost twice as much.
Okay.
Almost 2 to 1.
So that also leads me to this. If I book a top-notch performer, does it work? And do I get the high rollers?
I think, yeah. I think that, we're seeing more and more bigger names come to the Strip with big, giant price tags.
Yeah.
And it's, it does two things. The people that pay freight, they make money off of that good. I mean, these are $200, $300 tickets sometimes. You're talking Adele and stuff like that. More than that even. When Sealey used to be here. Those that they comp, it does bring the high rollers. They come in because that's a big badge of honor to get comped to one of those shows.
Oh, no question.
Yeah.
It really
Well
is.
said.
I mean, hey, look at this. I got 4 to go check out Bruno Mars sitting like the first row or whatever, and they're going to put me up at Cosmo the entire weekend. That's a big deal.
Yeah, what happens when you make, X amount of money, all of a sudden, how do you distinguish yourself? What can you do that's different from your neighbor who's got as much as you or more? All you can talk about is like, I got comped to this show, I got tickets to the Super Bowl, it works, man. It totally works.
Well said. All right, get ready for Big Game 59 with a big deal. Your final week to save $59 on a VSiN Pro annual subscription. Use code FTM. Every best bet, every host, every guest. $181 for a full year. VSiN.com/subscribe. The offer disappears after the big game. Code FTM. Lock in your savings now. VSiN.com/subscribe.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN, the sports betting network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Follow the Money on VSiN, the sports betting network, live downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. Our guest, Anthony Curtis, with a Las Vegas advisor. He is in studio here. You have known professional sports bettor Frank B. for a long time. He's been on the show several times over the years. Awesome dude. He is in town this week for the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, not going to be able to join us because he came down with an illness, which sucks. Hope he's feeling better. Yeah. So what is this now? Because Fezzik is another pro bettor who comes on this network all the time. But did they just do something for the first time together in like several years?
Yeah. Well, Frank was coming in. He came in last week, and I think he fully expected to do this with you guys, but he kind of came down with something. But before that happened, I said, can you be on our podcast, Las Vegas Advisor podcast on YouTube? And he's like, yeah, of course. I'll do it. And I said, what if I bring in Fezzik? He's like, yeah, do it. Bring it. People don't realize it, but they've never been on a show together except way back. I asked them on the show, have you guys ever done one together? They're like, more than a decade ago, it was some kind of a contest show we were on, but they just hadn't. And people go, they must not like each other. They're like really good friends. Like all three of us are really good friends. And I tell a story on the podcast that we did. It drops Thursday, by the way. It drops on the 6th. And it's Fezzik and Frank B. and me and my partner, Andrew Hunt, on the show. And these guys, they go to it, man. They talk. But I tell the story. 25 years ago, I had a place in that I was renting throughout the year in Mission Beach in San Diego area. And me and Frank and Fez all went down for a weekend and hung out there. And we were playing poker against one another 25 years ago.
Small world, huh?
And I forget who won, but I don't think it was me.
Yeah. Anything you can share? Well, one little tease about the top prop or something you like? Or?
Well, yeah, they talked a lot about both. Not Fezzik so much, but Frank's he's very cautious about giving out plays. He doesn't like to do that because he feels people don't understand that you got to get the best price and all that kind of business, right? Basically, one of the things we talked about was probably fading Kelsey. Probably fading Kelsey, especially in matchups against Goddard. And so that was one of them that came out of that. But we talked about hedging. Talked a lot about hedging, about should you or shouldn't you. And that was a funny thing, too, because before the show, we said we were going to do it. Frank and I felt one way, Fez felt the other. And then when we got on the show, Fez was talking our way. And I said to him, so you said you were going to school me. You were going to tell me why I was wrong. He's like, well, whatever. But, I mean, it's a great show. Everybody, seeing those two guys together is really strong. And that drops Thursday.
Yeah. When's the last time that you hedged?
I don't hedge much.
That's what I figured.
For the same reason that mathematically, they say no edge, no hedge. That's what they say. That every time, let's say you're in a good position, let's say you've made a real bad futures bet, and any futures bet is probably bad. They're taking 30% juice or high 20s or whatever. But all of a sudden, your team's in the Super Bowl, and all of a sudden now you're getting 4-1 on a team that's pick'em, right? So every time you hedge now and bet the other side, you're betting into the casino vig, and you are diminishing your overall EV. But for me, it all boils down to utility, meaning if this bet is so big that you can bet a little bit so you get something out of it, that it would change your life. It'll change your life, or it will just make a big difference in your bankroll. It's okay to hedge. I don't care about an edge. And where's the perfect example? Mattress Mac.
He came to mind as you were talking.
He's hedging every single time. And it's because he's got millions upon millions on the line. And in that case, hedging is absolutely a business strategy, and it's absolutely fine. And the purists would argue with me, but I say it's about. The last time I hedged, I had 1% of 2 different tickets in the Survivor when there were less than 20 left. So if my end of that was going to be, if they both came in, my end of that was going to be about 180,000.
Okay.
And I hedged. I bet a little off, a few grand on the other side.
Okay, was that this year?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, good for you.
All right.
I had a piece of Bovie. I had 1% of Bovie of Paul's, and I had 1% of another one. So
okay,
they both lost. They were both on the Colts when the Colts lost that game.
No.
I hated that. They weren't talking. They weren't together, so they didn't. They just both independently took it.
Everyone's coming to town, and you'll come on next week to recap everything as you go into all these parties as well. Derek Stevens is in studio in less than an hour. What's the key to a good Super Bowl party? What do I need? What gets people out of the house, or what should these parties have?
What gets people out of the house?
Yeah, well, I'm saying locals. For locals, I'm saying. Yeah. I mean, you want to come down and...
I know. I thought you were talking about you're having a party at your house. No. I want you to get the hell out of here now. Go. I thought that's what you meant.
How do I throw a great party and then get them out of
here?
Right?
That's exactly. A good question.
It's the same thing as what we were talking about with the high-end entertainment. So for the high rollers, it's got to be a private party. It's got to be something private that the public can't go to. For the public, it's all about price and are they going to get food and drink, together. For me, I much rather would go to a private party, a house party, where, you bring in your own booze and everybody's having a good time and, it's going crazy. But for the casinos, they're all going to be packed. And we've always said the next best thing to being at the game is literally, being in a sports book or a bar that's sports centric in Vegas, because everybody's into it. Everyone's got a bet, and it's fun.
It can be incredible. It really can, because people are cheering. A prop might cash on every single play.
Yeah.
And so there's going to be there's a chance that there's some small section of the ballroom or a casino or a sports book that you're watching in, and somebody's going to go crazy, like 4 or 5 people the entire game.
Yeah, there's always, that's the way we used to always write it. We would say on almost every play, because of the props, somebody's winning or losing. So there's always action. There's always yelling and screaming. It's absolutely a blast. Super Bowl, I love Super Bowl.
That's actually a good argument if you're a local, to get out of the house, because if you're stuck at a house party, we could be watching with people that aren't familiar with.
Oh,
you're
sure.
explaining stuff,
and they might be annoying,
and
a
little
bit of that.
You got that
but
too.
you can't screw around with the food.
Got to have top-notch
You have
food.
to have dynamite food.
Yes,
Super Bowl Sunday.
absolutely. You got to have good food. Well, not necessarily. I mean, if a place like Ellis Island or the Klondike, or they're having a party or something like that, people are real happy with hot dogs and hamburgers and potato chips.
Yeah, but you know what? I think Ellis Island has good food anyway.
Ellis Island's great. And I didn't mean to put them down, but I'm just saying Ellis Island would be more likely to have a tailgate type party than something big, although they'll do something nice in the front yard for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
They're turning things around at the Rio. We talked about that off air, but what are they doing that's unique from a tip sharing policy?
Yeah, well, the Rio was sold by Caesars Entertainment, was sold to a group from New York, and they are putting a bunch of money and a bunch of effort into bringing this place back. The Rio, back in the 90s, the Rio was the first casino to open after the Mirage. And that's how far back it goes. The Mirage really flipped the switch on the new Vegas. That set the tone for all the mega resorts that came after it. And then the next ones that opened were the Rio and the Excalibur. And the Rio was the place. They had the Ipanema girls, and the beautiful outfits and, beautiful women. It was different. It was great. And Caesars just let it go to hell. They didn't put a penny into it. They let it just become an old dilapidated joint. And they are fixing it up right and left here. And they're trying different things. And one of the things they're doing is a new tip sharing policy. So in almost all casinos, dealers share their tips. It's called an envelope job, because they all get an envelope at the end of the day for 24 hours or sometimes shift per shift. So they all get their envelope. It's called, an envelope job. Some places it's called going for your own. And that means that or table for table. That means that everybody keeps their own tips. That leads to problems sometimes, right? It leads to toe hustling against the customer. It leads to favoritism among who gets assigned the better games and all that kind of stuff. But recently, Four Queens and Binions just went to table for table. All right, now when they used to peek at their cards, this was a big thing too, because the professionals would go out knowing it's table for table and urging the dealer to give them some signs for the tip. Right? So it can become problematic.
Yeah.
But it also can lead to much better customer service by the dealers who are trying to be happy and make it fun for the customers and make more money. So at the Rio, they're going to go 50-50. 50% of it is going to be kept by each individual dealer, and 50% of it is going to go into an envelope. And see if that, kind of like pushes that down a little bit, maybe a little bit of a evening out sort of thing, so they get like the best of both worlds. I just love what they're doing at the Rio. They're just trying stuff. They really are.
Good to hear. When I first moved out here, I went to the Rio all the time. Club Rio, Voodoo Lounge. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say that's one of the biggest regrets of our lives. Prince had a residency.
Yeah.
I never went.
I did.
Did you? I'm sure it was awesome.
It was unbelievable.
He'd play all night.
Prince, he played in a room that was about maybe 3 times the size of this little studio we're in.
Oh, God.
And it was just great. And I went. I saw it.
Good for you.
It was fun.
Man.
I saw, I saw concerts on the roof over there. It was the best Monday Night Football party ever at the Rio. They had a round, like a place in the round.
Okay.
I saw Eddie Money there. This was and it was free. It was a free concert before the football game. No, after the football game. The football game would go, and then everyone would stay. And Eddie Money played there once. I forget how many different ones, had done it. And they're just trying to bring it back. One of the things about the Rio is downstairs, that wine cellar is terrific. They have tastings.
Got a break.
Follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.